What's going on, everybody? We've got a full Wednesday MLB board here, and this one has a little bit of everything. Teams playing with real momentum, teams trying to stop the slide, and a few matchups where the market might be a little too confident in one side. That's usually where the best betting spots live, because the record only tells part of the story. The recent form, the bullpen shape, and the offensive trends matter just as much. So let's break it down the right way and keep the focus on the team achievements, the current runs, and the matchup edges. First up, Chicago heading to Baltimore. The White Sox are in a strong spot to start this series. They're already up late in Game 2, and if that holds, it would mean they've taken the first 2 games on the road. That tells you they're coming in with confidence and finding ways to keep pressure on Baltimore. Even with some inconsistency earlier in the season, the White Sox have quietly built a profile that makes them dangerous when the offense is clicking. That offense has really been the story. They've been borderline excellent and have been doing damage even without being fully healthy. That is a big reason why this team keeps showing up as a live underdog or short favorite in spots like this. If they get healthier and keep producing at this level, they could become a very difficult team to deal with down the stretch. Baltimore, meanwhile, is in a rough place. They're sitting at 39-47, and that kind of record usually reflects more than just a short slump. They've now lost 3 in a row and may be headed toward a 4th straight loss depending on how the current game finishes. The offense is supposed to be the stabilizer, but right now it's not doing enough. Their recent scoring has been underwhelming, and even though the season-long numbers still show a team that can hit, the current form does not look strong. The bullpen is also a major concern, especially if this becomes a bullpen game. That is exactly the kind of setup that can get away from a team quickly. My best pick is White Sox moneyline. They are the sharper side here, and the over 10 also makes sense because both pitching situations look shaky enough to create scoring chances. Next up, Texas against Cleveland. The Rangers have been one of the hottest teams on the board. They've won 6 straight, and that kind of run is exactly what you want to see from a team trying to build momentum in the middle of the season. It's not just that they are winning, it's that they are finding ways to keep doing it across different types of games. Their bullpen has been a real strength overall, and while the offense is not perfect, it has been doing enough to support the run they're on. They are still not a top-tier offense by season-long numbers, but lately they've been producing enough to keep games in their control. That matters because when a team is winning this consistently, you don't need them to be perfect, you just need them to keep showing up. Cleveland is a tougher team to trust offensively. Their record is basically even, and they're still hanging around in the division, but the offense has been a major weakness. They are near the bottom of the league in runs scored, last in slugging percentage, and near the bottom in batting average. That is a problem in any matchup, but especially against a team that's currently rolling. The Guardians do have a bullpen that can keep them live, and they're better at home than they may look on paper. But the offensive gap between these two teams is hard to ignore. My best pick is Rangers moneyline. The recent form is just too strong, and they have the better overall team shape right now. The total at 8.5 also feels reasonable, but the side is where the clearer edge sits for me. Next, Detroit against New York. This is one of the more interesting games on the slate because the Tigers are playing their best baseball of the season while the Yankees are heading in the opposite direction. Detroit has already shown in this series that they can go into Yankee Stadium and take control. That kind of road confidence matters, especially when a team has not always been strong away from home. The Tigers' offense has actually been better lately than their season-long numbers would suggest. They've been scoring more consistently over the last few games, and that gives them some real live underdog appeal. Their overall season numbers at the plate are still below average, but recent form is what makes them dangerous in this spot. The Yankees, on the other hand, are floundering right now. They're on the verge of losing a 5th straight game, and the offense has been the biggest reason why. Even at home, they've been stuck in a low-scoring stretch and have not been able to recover the way you'd expect from a team with this kind of overall talent. Their bullpen remains one of the better parts of the team, but even that is not enough if the lineup is not producing. That's what makes this so uncomfortable for them. They are not scoring enough to match the quality of their pitching. My best pick is Detroit as the underdog here. They've been playing their best ball of the year, and the Yankees just do not look like a team that should be laying short numbers in their current form. This also has some underflavor to it based on the recent offense, but the better bet for me is the Tigers' side. Now to Washington against Boston. This is a really interesting matchup because both teams have a case, but for different reasons. Washington has been one of the most productive offenses in the majors this season. They're first in runs scored and third in slugging percentage, which is a huge achievement and shows just how dangerous they can be when they are rolling. That said, the Nationals' bullpen is a major problem. It has been one of the worst in the majors, and that makes them hard to trust late in games even when the offense is doing its job. That is why games involving Washington can get tricky. They can score enough to stay in it, but the pitching can undo a good start. Boston has been red hot lately, winning 5 straight and sweeping the Yankees. That is a serious run, and it tells you the team is playing with confidence. The bullpen has been fantastic, which gives them a strong base to work from. The problem is the offense has been one of the weakest in baseball overall, even if there has been some recent improvement. That creates a very interesting contrast. Washington has the stronger offense over the full season. Boston has the better recent run and the more reliable bullpen. That is why this game feels like one where the total can get interesting, but the side is not as simple. If I had to choose, I'd lean Nationals plus the price because getting that kind of number with the best offense in the league is hard to ignore. Boston's recent run is real, but Washington's season-long production is the stronger foundation. Next up, San Diego against Chicago. The Padres are still one of the strangest teams to evaluate because the pitching side has actually been excellent, but the offense has been dead last in the majors. That is the kind of imbalance that makes it very difficult to trust them in any spot that requires them to score consistently. Even when the bullpen and starting pitching do enough, the lineup keeps dragging them down. Chicago, meanwhile, has been in a much better rhythm. They're winning games, they're sitting in strong position in the standings, and they've been much more productive at the plate lately. Their offense is top 6 in runs scored and top 5 in on-base percentage, which shows a team that is not only scoring, but getting plenty of traffic on the bases. The Cubs also have the benefit of home field and a bullpen that has been solid enough to support them over the course of the year. That makes them very difficult to fade against a team like San Diego, especially when the Padres are still searching for any kind of offensive consistency. My best pick is Cubs money line, and I also lean under 11 because the Padres offense is just too weak to make me excited about a big scoring game. Now to New York against Toronto. This is a matchup between two offenses that have really struggled, and that usually means the total becomes the more interesting side. The Mets have had a disastrous year at the plate, and that has been the biggest reason their season has gone sideways. The bullpen has been decent, but the offense has not carried its weight at all. Toronto is not in much better shape. They've been one of the worst offensive teams in the league this season, and that has kept them from getting any real momentum. Even at home, the production has not been there enough to make them feel reliable. My best pick is the under. Neither offense inspires a lot of confidence, and that gives this game a lower scoring feel. On the side, I don't have a strong enough lean without knowing more about the pitching situation, so I'd rather stay with the total. Next, Pittsburgh against Philadelphia. The Pirates have actually been one of the better offensive teams in the majors this season. They rank near the top in runs scored, batting average, and on-base percentage, which is a really strong accomplishment. That makes them dangerous even when the rest of the profile is not perfect. The issue is that they are running into a very strong Phillies team that has been in excellent form. Philadelphia has been winning consistently, their offense has come alive, and they've climbed into a very good position in the division. That gives them a much stronger overall profile than they had earlier in the year. Their pitching is also a major edge. The bullpen has been good, the starter in this matchup has been excellent overall, and they already showed they can handle Pittsburgh in this series. That creates a very real home favorite case for Philadelphia. The Pirates can hit, so I understand why some people would want to keep them live. But this is a game where the Phillies' current momentum and home profile make them the better side. Phillies money line is my best pick. Now St. Louis heading to Atlanta. The Cardinals come in at 43-38, and they're in a pretty respectable position overall, but the recent offensive shape has cooled off quite a bit. They're not producing at the same level they were earlier in the season, and that matters when you're walking into a matchup with a team that can still dominate at home. Their bullpen is also below average, which leaves less margin for error if the game gets tight late. Atlanta, meanwhile, has had a rough stretch after an incredible start, but they're still 49-33 and sitting on top of the NL East. That's important because even in a downturn, they still carry the profile of a first-place team. Their bullpen has been the best in the majors, and that is a massive edge in any close game. The issue has been the offense, which has completely fallen off lately, but the overall structure of the team is still very strong. This game feels like one where pitching and bullpen depth matter more than raw scoring expectation. St. Louis has not been explosive enough recently to make me feel great about backing them, and Atlanta's bullpen gives them a safety net if the game stays close. That is why the Braves remain the side I'd rather trust here, even if the offensive form is not perfect. My best pick is Braves to win. The total also makes sense in the under direction because both teams have recent offensive concerns and Atlanta's bullpen can help suppress late scoring. So the cleaner angles here are Braves money line and under 9. Next, Tampa Bay heading to Kansas City. The Rays are in a strong place right now. They're 48-33, sitting at the top of the AL East, and they've won 5 straight. That kind of momentum matters, especially when it's backed by strong season-long team numbers. Their offense has really started to show life again, and the batting average and on-base profile suggest that the runs should keep coming. The bullpen is the one area that keeps them from looking completely airtight, but even there, the team has enough offense to cover a lot of problems. When a team is hitting this well, they don't need perfection from the pitching staff to keep winning series and covering prices. That's why the Rays keep showing up as a live side even on the road. Kansas City is in a much tougher spot. They're 35-50, and that record reflects the bigger picture. The bullpen has been one of the worst in the league, and the offense has not done enough to compensate. Their season-long hitting numbers are weak, and the recent form has not suggested a turnaround is coming soon. This is the kind of mismatch where the better team has a very clear edge. Tampa Bay has the better current run, the better offensive stability, and the better overall season profile. That makes my best pick Rays money line, and I'd still be comfortable laying the number because the Royals have too many holes to trust. Now to Cincinnati against Milwaukee. The Reds are sitting at 39-44, and they have not been able to find enough consistency to build a real run. Their bullpen has been a major problem all season, and that makes them difficult to trust in any matchup where the game might stay competitive late. The offense has also been underwhelming, especially when you look at the season-long batting average and the lack of steady production. Milwaukee, by contrast, has been one of the most complete teams in the league. They're first in the NL Central by a solid margin, and the season-long numbers are strong across the board. Their offense is top tier in runs scored, batting average, and on-base percentage, and their bullpen has been a real asset as well. That is the kind of combination that gives a team a high floor every night. The Brewers also have the benefit of home field, where they've been very strong. When a team already has the better pitching structure and a stronger offense, that home edge makes the price easier to justify. Cincinnati can be live in spots, but this does not feel like one of them. My best pick is Brewers money line. The Reds simply do not have enough going for them right now to make this a difficult call. Next, Minnesota against Houston. The Twins have had some solid offensive numbers this season, and they've been one of the more productive lineups in terms of runs scored, slugging, and batting average. That gives them a path to stay competitive even when the pitching is shaky. The problem, of course, is the bullpen. That unit has been the worst in the majors, and that creates a major issue in any game that goes beyond the early innings. Houston has not been at its best overall, but the offense still carries enough threat to matter. They are not an elite version of themselves right now, but they've shown enough production to keep pressure on opponents, especially at home. Their bullpen is not great either, but it is not as bad as Minnesota's, and that matters in a game where the late innings could decide everything. This is one of those spots where the first five can make sense because the Twins' bullpen is so unreliable. The full game is more volatile because both teams have pitching concerns, but the better overall current shape feels like Houston to me. Their home environment and offensive ceiling make them the side I'd rather trust. If I had to pick one direction, I'd go Astros money line and lean a bit toward the over only because the bullpen situation on both sides creates some late game danger. Now to Miami against Colorado. The Marlins have quietly put together a very strong season. They're in the playoff mix, the bullpen has been one of the best in the majors, and the offense has been good enough to support that pitching staff. They're not an elite lineup, but they've been efficient and productive enough to win games consistently. What really stands out here is the current form of the team. They've been winning frequently, and the recent stretch has shown that they know how to separate from weaker opponents. That matters a lot when you're facing a team like Colorado, because the Rockies are still dealing with major pitching problems and a bullpen that has been one of the worst in the league. Colorado's offense has actually improved this season, which is something worth acknowledging. But the bullpen is such a major issue that it becomes hard to trust them against a more balanced opponent. Even if they score a bit, there's always the risk that the pitching gives it right back. That's why I like Marlins money line here. They have the better overall shape, the better bullpen, and the more trustworthy profile in this matchup. Next, the Dodgers against the Athletics. Los Angeles is still the class of the board. They're 55-30, easily the best team in the NL West, and their offense has been absolutely elite. They've been scoring in bunches, they've been overwhelming teams at the plate, and they continue to separate themselves from the rest of the league. Even with some uncertainty around the starting situation, this is still a team you don't want to fade lightly. The Dodgers have enough offensive power to win in a lot of different ways, and that makes them dangerous even when the pitching setup changes. Their overall record shows that they can handle all kinds of situations. The Athletics are playing better than they have in past seasons, but the recent offense has cooled off and the bullpen remains a weak point. That keeps them from being a true threat against a team like Los Angeles. They can hang around in some games, but the Dodgers are simply operating at a different level right now. So the clean read here is Dodgers money line. Even if the number shifts, the Dodgers remain the side with the clearest advantage. Last game on the slate, San Francisco against Arizona. This matchup is a little less polished on both sides. The Giants have had a terrible offensive season, and that has been the biggest thing dragging them down. They've also struggled on the road, which makes this a tough spot to suddenly expect a turnaround. Arizona has not been especially convincing either. The offense has lost a lot of its earlier punch, the bullpen is below average, and the team as a whole has settled into that middle-of-the-road profile. They do have home field strength, but the current offensive form has not been enough to fully trust them. This is the type of game where the total is more interesting than the side. Neither team is bringing a profile that screams easy offense, and that's why under 9.5 stands out as the best angle. The sides are close enough to avoid forcing a strong opinion. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It really helps the channel grow, and it makes a huge difference in helping me keep these daily picks and breakdowns coming for you. I appreciate every bit of support, and it means a lot to keep building this with you all. I'll be back with more picks, more breakdowns, and more value in the next one, so make sure you stay tuned. Catch you in the next video.